order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Barrington. It is Tuesday, July 18th, 2017. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Here.
Trustee Dalton Lane?
Here.
Trustee Mitchell?
Here.
Trustee Rigby?
Here.
Trustee Schauer?
Here.
Trustee Thompson?
Here.
Mayor Richardson?
Here. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Agenda item number 4 this evening is approval of the minutes from both the special meeting of the Committee of the Whole from June 7th and the Board of Trustees regular meeting on the same date. Are there questions, edits, or so forth to be raised with counsel in place of the clerk who was excused this evening on that? There being none, Chair would like a motion to approve in block. May I have a motion, please?
So
Moved by Trustee Rigby, seconded by Trustee Scheller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Agenda item 5 is President's remarks. A couple of things this evening. I join with everybody in this community in mourning the loss of our friend and former colleague, Connie Schofield. I think we all are suffering genuine sorrow over this, and I thought it would be appropriate. We hope to do an event here that recognizes Connie's remarkable legacy in the community at a later date, but I thought we would just for a moment have an observed moment of silence in Connie's memory, with the understanding that we will do something more fitting in cooperation and in consultation with her family in the next several weeks. May I ask for a moment of silence, please? Thank you all very much. I am pleased to see my colleague in BACOG, South Barrington President Paula McCombie, with us. When you are a suburban mayor, you learn about land use. And she's here to update us on some activities that relate to land use in the southern part of the BACOG region and its potential effects upon the BACOG communities. And so, Paula, I am pleased to recognize you for that purpose.
Thank you, Kevin. So there was quite a bit of press to begin with on the Plum Farms in Hoffman Estates. It's on our western border of South Barrington. Recently, they had a number of meetings in regards to annexing it in the property, which was unincorporated Cook County, into Hoffman Estates. And when they did this, there were several issues. The first issue in it had to do mostly with the school district as far as the TIF. And several of us spoke. In fact, I think I've spoken at just about every meeting, planning commission meetings, board meetings, the TIF meetings, and then the school district spoke at several. Attorneys for both us, and I'm not sure if the school district attorney was there or not as far as a speaker, staff members, my engineer, my building officer, have all spoken at this meeting. Several of my trustees have spoken at the meetings that Hoffman Estates has had. We've also written letters, talked to Mayor McLeod in regards to the development, and Mr. Anthony Iatarola, who is the landowner, and was to no avail. The school district, however, did get the TIF off the property, but they've left the school with a financial burden. And they think they offered them a couple acres of land next to the railroad tracks and told them to build a several-story building to accommodate the students that they were going to put in this property west of us. They're all in District 220. The cost to educate a student in Hoffman Estates is much less than what it costs to educate a student in District 220. The southern portion of this, which is the retail and some apartment buildings, They are in District 300 right now, not in 220. Recently, the property right off of 72 and 59 on northwest corner, that acreage, some of that acreage was already annexed into Hoffman Estates. The issue was 145 acres from the addition of it's 185 acres altogether. So 145 acres of it was recently annexed. It was the Cook County zone, which defaults into the 5-acre zoning, which is normally changed anyway in most instances. But what they have now is a TN district, is what they call that. And what it has done, as opposed to doing something like a PUD, which we did in our town when the density increased and we were involved in problems and a lawsuit, we formed a PUD, and that protected us, and we laid out the developments to make sure that the rest of our village was going to be protected and we knew what was going in. In the Hoffman Estates TN district, they haven't used any of their authority to do anything like that to protect them. So the developer was handed a gift to put what he wants in several different areas. In the zoning, which is completely unusual, from what we can understand from land planners, it might be something it's an urban setting. And it might be appropriate in a train station area where you have the transportation, but there is nothing there. There's an entrance to Route 59, from 59 to the expressway. And so what we have there now is alleys, 30-foot lots, multi-story buildings, tons of rentals, and there's not a limit on the rentals, that they could change that whole thing into rentals if we wanted to, according to what our attorneys suggested. And we're stuck with the zoning. We went and we asked, we said, hey, you gotta give our school district some, to be able to support the students in 220. You can't do that to our taxpayers, which all of your taxpayers, mine, all of Barrington area's taxpayers are involved in this. The school district was proposing perhaps a referendum to pay for a new school building, which they say that they need. And, and it's going to cost a lot of money year to year to educate the additional kids, and they're not getting that money from Hoffman Estates. The other thing is, we've asked for a buffer zone in South Barrington. We have one-story ranches across from what they propose as 58-foot multifamily units. And so we don't have a buffer zone. They can go 20 feet off of 50. We have a bigger buffer zone just for our ranches off of 59. We have a bigger buffer for our small ranches. We have a 55 and older community there that is going to see a lot of impact with this additional traffic. Traffic studies were totally incomplete. Basically, the thing was, the way we're looking at it and the way most of the villages are also looking at it is kind of just shoved in. And I don't know what happened to their board and why their board was not, following a typical procedure that most boards would follow. Hoffman Estates does not have this type of development any place within their village, but they've stuck it on their outer border, away from all of their residential, and basically next to us. So, and Barrington Hills sits to the north of that. The Forest Preserve separates Barrington Hills from the development. So, it's a very difficult position that it's put us in. So what we've done is tried to band together as different communities in BACOG and try to get support from the different villages in regards to the first stage of a lawsuit. And what we're hoping to do is get Hoffman Estates back to the table. We're not hoping to go on for years and years on this thing, but to get it back to the table, to give the school district some money, give a buffer zone for us, which is my own selfish and our village's selfish thing, and to put a zoning in there that would be more suitable to a green space, which that property is. So that's the goals of the initiative right now. And the different villages are, village presidents are pretty much on board as far as what they've said to me. And we have asked for financial backing, and we do have some financial backing. The first stage of the lawsuit, South Barrington is going to be contributing by far the most money, but even the school district is joining in this lawsuit. We are not the plaintiffs at this point. The school district and South Barrington may enter as the plaintiff. I was just talking to Brian Battle today, but we are waiting. Our attorney is Tom Burney. He's a zoning attorney, And we have Steve Lennett as one of the consultants. He did the comprehensive plan for Cook County. And another guy that I'm not familiar with, but I guess he's famous in his own rights, Steve Maris. He's testifies in a lot of real estate cases to show the depreciation of the values of the property around this development as a result of this development. So we're hoping, BayCog originally, one of the reasons they formed as a group was to try to control some of the zoning around them. And this is a perfect example of something where we need help, and we need to try to keep something like this from happening. I don't know if it's going to happen to you or somebody else in our Barrington communities. But the one thing that we definitely have in common on this is our school, and the school district is not, they're joining in, put it that way. They're definitely, so anyway, going back to it, they've been doing negotiations with District 300 in the beginning, and like I said, 300 has the southern portion. Ayatorola, the owner, would like to have the District 220 property because it adds value to its property. So everyone's trying to get into District 220, one of the top schools in the state. So, he is, we've had meetings with Ayatorola as well. He's been in my office, and I've met him at coffee shops to try to reason with him to begin with, all to no avail. And everyone's speech at that board, with the exception of getting rid of the TIF in the very beginning, was to no avail. And nothing got changed. They don't have any pictures, even everything is illustrative only pictures. They have nothing. So, we don't even know exactly what the thing is going to look like when they get done, what materials they're going to use, or what types of construction methods. I've been told by one of the major developers in the Chicago area that, in fact, he contacted me, that they have to build an awfully cheap product to be able to get the rents in the buildings, the apartment buildings, 8 to 10 story apartment buildings that they're planning on building. It's going to be difficult for them to get rents to pay back the cost of that. So we will be in stage 1. We will be the group of residents. We were told would be the best way to go about this in the beginning, and to join into the lawsuit after the group of residents files. And so I think right now there's about, I'm not sure exactly, it keeps changing up and down how many residents are putting their names down as plaintiffs on that. But that's the way it starts in the beginning, and then it will proceed to, whether the school district is going to join in it, when they're going to join in it, and the same thing with South Barrington. But again, I told Mr. McLeod, because Bill McLeod is actually a friend. I think he's a friend of a lot of us. And I called him in as a friend, and that's what I said. I'm calling you in as a friend. And Marty McLaughlin of Barrington Hills was with me. And we said, you didn't listen to us. You put our school district in terrible shape right now. You've done nothing for them. He said, well, I got rid of the TIF. And I said, yeah, but they still don't have enough money to build a school. You haven't offered them in your zoning classification enough land to build a school, or the cost of the students. You haven't covered that as well. And I said, and I've had my village hall full of residents complaining about the development next door. And so I said, there's really not much choice here as far as I can see. It's either like, just go ahead, let you build this, let it go up, watch it happen, and do absolutely nothing. Or try to do something to control the growth over there, and to create a buffer zone, and to get some money for the school. So that's the way we're proceeding. So that's, I think that's basically it. So he came in with a trustee, Mike, oh shoot, I can't remember his last name. Mike, I don't know him, but I think he's his deputy mayor. So that's where it stands right now. By the 28th of the month, we have to have the lawsuit filed. And so this is stage 1 that I'm asking support for. I'm really hoping we don't have stage 2 or stage 3, but it's been broken out into 3 stages, the lawsuit has. And the beginning is the filing of the suit, and you may have to go to court to do that. So that's what I'm asking for support for. And this, besides the density and sticking together, the fact that it impacts you all for your residents in the school district, I think probably is important to everybody as well.
Paula, some years ago, Jim Bateman will remember the details perhaps better than I. There was a controversial land use issue up here at the north end of BayCog concerning the DiMucci property off of Route 12.
Okay.
where North Barrington had very strong concerns akin to what you're voicing here. And, you know, one of the great things about BayCog is that all for one, one for all. So I appreciate you coming up here. It is our custom to let trustees ask questions of our guests. So I'll start on my left with Trustee Mitchell. Any questions for President McCombie?
Thank you for coming in. I've been following this somewhat through BayCog and Son, because there's like a disconnect, a complete disconnect between these communities and the way we are focused and the priorities here and what is being sort of foisted upon us. So I'm definitely supportive and believe that it's sort of a, seven musketeers here, all for one and one for all. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Trustee Thompson.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
I guess my only comment is, I guess the lawsuit is the only way we can proceed now.
Well, nobody could think of another way to do it. Hoffman wouldn't listen. They certainly had enough people speak out at their public hearings and their board meetings. I mean, we followed it from the first one on that they published on Plum Farms. We did speak to the developer. Developer, as a matter of fact, changed from 800 and something to 900 when it came into my office to the 1,325 now. So it's only gotten worse. And I don't think there's another solution. We just want to bring them back to the table and try to have them have some consideration for what they're doing. Nobody sees how they thought this out. And it's the staff drove a lot of this at the meetings. I don't know if they drove this from the beginning. I'm not involved in the politics in Hoffman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Burke.
No questions, just you have my support.
Thank you.
Trustee Schaller.
And likewise, we thank you very much for being here. Emergency planning, I think, is one of the other meetings that you and I were at recently. Has BayCog actually gone on record
Yes.
opposing this?
Yes,
Thank you.
Janice has spoken twice. She did an excellent job speaking as well. And a lot of this property is wetland as well, 185 acres. There's at least there's between 40 and 60 acres of wetland on these 1,325 homes. So some of these lots are 30,000 square feet with, straight up the housing units. So it's a very different thing. They're not sure. The only reason they wouldn't have some of the alleys is they can't figure out where to put the snow. So,
So it was unincorporated before, and
Yes.
part of it's now developed in the States?
yeah, it was, there was a fight between Barrington Hills to disconnect from them. And he was successful. Ayatollah was successful because Barrington Hills is pretty strict, and they're stricter than we are in their zoning. So they're larger lots.
Yeah, it's obviously a great concern for the entire area, and we support what you're trying to accomplish.
And we're concerned about it. I don't know if there's a way for it to merge north or merge further west, but we're kind of concerned about the whole issue as far as like the future of it as well. Thank you.
Trustee Dalton.
I'm just curious, you said Hoffman Estates did not listen. What did they say?
Nothing.
So they
They don't respond. That's the way their board meetings are. They don't ask questions of the speaker. At least they didn't ask any questions, really. I think Tom Burney was there, the attorney that's working right now for this, and he actually was familiar with Hoffman Estates. I don't know what his relationship was with them as far as doing some work with them before. Or I'm not going to speak to that because I'm not sure, but there was some familiarity between Burney and their administrator, Norris. So I don't. So he was the only one that I can recall that really had a conversation with during his speech against the project. And the residents had hired him. They had put quite a bit of money in already to hire him to go speak at the board meetings for Hoffman Estates.
So this developer has said he's taking the tip off the table.
Yes.
And
Well, he's taking the tip off, but he can bring it back if the school board approves of having the tip come back.
and then when the South Barrington Arboretum was built, was there any tip on that?
No.
So they were able to build without that.
Yes.
Interesting, very interesting. It seems, I can't imagine like one of our neighbors not even talking to us, like at least explaining what the reasons are for what they are proposing to do.
We spoke, my administrator and myself spoke with Ayatollah, the owner of the property. His family's owned the property for a very long time. I think his father bought it. And then we spoke to him and a trustee, two of the trustees together from Hoffman Estates, and we had a conversation, but they think it's great. I mean, they liked the idea that there's something new that's going up. So, yeah, they're very excited about it. It's like a dream for them or whatever. That's what it sounded like, a dream come true. We're gonna make the papers. And sure enough, they did make a lot of the newspapers, so.
Thank you.
Trustee Rigby.
Thank you. You indicated that you haven't decided on the plaintiffs for your lawsuit yet. When are you?
No, we've got, it's going to be between 10 and 13 names as the plaintiff to begin with. They're leaving the homeowners association out. We talked to the homeowners association to ask if they want to join in, but first of all, they thought it was a financial thing for them, and they didn't want to put in, the homeowners association doesn't have the money to put in. And it was like funded by just residents. So they decided the residents that are affected by the zoning the most would be very good for this suit to get a response and a positive response from court. So that's why, we could have entered in. He told us, no, don't enter in now. Our attorney said, no, we're better off with the residents there that are living right across the street from the development to do the lawsuit, at least in the very beginning, and then I can always add plaintiffs as we move along.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you coming up here and sharing this with you. I'll visit with my colleagues later in the meeting during the other business section to discuss this further, but
Okay.
I think you heard a sentiment here that I certainly share, which is, as Benjamin Franklin said some 250 years ago, we either hang together or we hang separately.
Thank you very much. And if anybody would like to call me for any information, if you have any questions, feel free. You can look at the website. I think my cell phone is easily available as well. So anytime, weekends, evenings, it doesn't make any difference. Just give me a call if you have a question that you think of. I'm happy to answer it.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you very much.
Thanks again. The agenda, I'm going to continue in President's remarks. I'm going to recognize Trustee Rigby to introduce us to our new videographer.
We have a new videographer here who gave me a call one day last week, and I was very happy to talk with her. And she came down and took a 5-minute class from Debbie and Peggy and others. So this is Holly Cruz. She lives over in Crystal Lake, and so we're really happy to have you here.
Holly, come on up to the podium for a moment so we can visit with you.
Kind of boxed in over here. All this
It's like
technology.
coming out of a space capsule.
Thank you for agreeing to take on this assignment. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. We're always interested in meeting new members of our family here.
So I'm from Crystal Lake. I work in the Latino community right now in Crystal Lake. I do bilingual family outreach for the Crystal Lake School District, as well as working on forming a Latino community center there. So this is what I'm adding to all the free time that I have with my 4-year-old and 2-year-old as well. This is a break from the 4-year-old and 2-year-old. So.
Awesome. Mom's night out.
Exactly.
I am happy to recognize any of my colleagues here for words of welcome. Trustee Mitchell.
Just make sure you get our good side.
Yeah, he has to turn his chair on.
Welcome here. I'm strategically placed.
Jim.
Thank you. Just, well, welcome, first of all, and make sure your camera's straight up.
Trustee Burke.
We introduced ourselves earlier, so nice to meet you, and thanks for helping us out.
Trustee Schauer.
And likewise, and as Trustee Burke said, my face is genuine for radio, so no close-ups, please.
Get his voice all you want.
That's right. That's right. James Earl Jones thing going on. Trustee Beltline.
We talked earlier, welcome again.
And Trustee Rigby, thank you. How did you and Trustee Rigby come to be acquainted?
I'm actually good friends with Jamie Sheffin of Lake Barrington Shores, and so she let me know that they were looking for someone and put me in touch with them.
Cuidado, creo, alcalde, aquí entiende lo que dices. Me gusta hablar y practicar con usted.
Okay,
Bueno,
Now you're just showing off.
No, I just asked her how to get better discount on my car insurance.
The important stuff, right?
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
I want to go out of order, out of courtesy for Kevin Ritchie from Trillium and go to agenda item 9B, which is a report that Kevin gives periodically to our board. He's from Trillium, and they work on a lot of the native landscaping activities here in the village, especially with regard to tall grass and the berm. And so Kevin, welcome, and I believe, come on up, please. I believe Mr. Falling has indicated to you that I'm particularly interested in getting your views on how to better screen that concrete over. But generally, your view of how we're doing, and welcome.
I'm Kevin Ritchie from Trillium Native Landscapes. Regarding Taylor Morrison and what they're doing there, a few things. One is, which is always a concern, was the wall. They're taking really great care of it. It's level. It's not falling apart. It's doing really well. Regarding that storm structure, we did plant plants there. Now, you're aware of, it's a slab of concrete with dirt on it. So it's kind of like throwing dirt on a driveway. So it's really difficult to get things to grow there. Especially closer to the end of the wall, the soil is only 6 to 12 inches deep. So it's real difficult. We have planted plants there. They're growing, but they're growing very slowly. So I did speak with Bob from Taylor Morrison, and we've agreed on a little project, which will be a little different than the native stuff which we've been trying to do there. We'll be using blue rug juniper, and I'm sure you guys are all aware of that. It's a creeping juniper. Planting that against the wall, right on the top edge. That particular plant tolerates drought exceptionally well. So we'll get plants large enough that they will make an impact right away. And give it a year or two and they will be hanging from day one, but a year or two they'll be hanging over a little further. That'll soften that whole top concrete edge. On the ends of that, we're going to plant a native plant, of course. Cranberry viburnum, which get broad. They get 5 to 6 feet broad and 6 to 8 feet tall. So they will soften those. We can't put anything in front of it because it is an outflow structure. There was an event a couple of years ago where water did flow through there. It would have kept, if we had plants there, it would have caught the debris. Could have caused a major flood issue inside. It could have, who knows what it could have done. Destroyed the walls, the berms, everything. So that's how we're solving that.
We recognize there's no silver bullet solution on this. It's just, I think your phrase, soften it, is probably what's practical. That would certainly be a marked improvement from what has been I married a South Carolinian, and my wife's sister was in town. She said, "It's too bad you're not in South Carolina. We just plant some kudzu, and it would grow over there in about 6 weeks." So
I think that won't grow here. We'd all be in trouble.
How is the rest of the berm coming along in your review, and are there recommendations you think we should discuss with Taylor Morrison?
Right now, no. As long as they continue the maintenance that they have. We did do some seeding this early spring, late winter. Of course, that seed is mainly flowers and forbs and some grasses. Native grasses, forbs can take up to 5 years to germinate. So, but they're there. They are germinating well. We've been managing it, trying to keep it weed-free, the site. And this year it shows a lot more than it has in the past. A lot more colors there. It's coming along. They have contracted us for 2 more years. So unless something unforeseeable happens, we'll be continuing for the next few years anyway. Which is the whole goal with any subdivision, any detention basins, is having a management plans in place and not just hiring someone to do it 1 year and then next year, the next cheapest guy. Otherwise, you start losing out of what the goals are. We know what the site's like, and we know how to manage it.
Yeah, the appeal has every year gotten better as the plan that was originally gets closer to maturation. So we appreciate your continued involvement in this. Let me just yield to my colleagues for questions or comments. I'll start on my right with Trustee Rigby.
The only question I have is spraying for mosquitoes. I see where one of your recommendations is to designate this as a monarch way station out here. Spraying this for mosquitoes, does that bother
I'm sorry?
butterflies? When they spray for mosquitoes?
No, it has no effect. Well, when they spray those natural areas, yes, it is.
Yeah.
But there isn't that much drift with it, and those guys are pretty good about it. Who does your work for them?
Clark.
They're very good, and they do watch natural areas.
Okay.
And they mainly use a larvicide in standing mud areas, which we don't have right around here.
We've actually got Clark coming in August 1st for the report,
Good.
so.
I'll talk to them.
Trustee Dalton Lang.
One of the things that Kevin said, which resonates with me, is a lot of communities in Downers Grove now, or Downers Grove, in DuPage County, now require long-term maintenance with a qualified landscaping company for stormwater management basins for this very reason. So that's, going in that trend, that's something that we might want to consider.
Well, I would like to speak on that for a second.
Yeah.
This is, I just went to a seminar about this, and it's a problem, and it's a problem with villages. Having that ability to force people to manage and maintain sites. Every time one of these native areas, you're a certified community, correct? Right. So you have to go by Lake County Stormwater Management's process. They require that very same thing. They require 3 years maintenance. It's up to you to make sure it's continued. So any kind of a new development whatsoever, nowadays, especially here in this open space, you all have detention basins. They are required to have 3-year management. It's hidden deep in the plan.
And I believe that prior to Taylor Morrison getting clear title to the property, we were working with you, your company, for that purpose at the village.
And it's working out.
Yeah, at the time. So we prefer to use the words gently encourage rather than force, but the sentiment is not lost on me.
I'm talking beyond the 3 years M&M that's required. Like some of the towns are going to that, like Citizens or Conservation Foundation is offering that service. And what it is you set up an SSA with that HOA, and it's guaranteed to keep running. So that way the municipality doesn't get stuck trying to, go after them to maintain it the way it was supposed to, and it gets maintained nicely. And homeowners associations are loving it because they're getting somebody like you in there that knows what they're doing, and it looks more like the pictures of what they want, right? So, thank you.
Trustee Schaller.
I think we're very fortunate to have you involved in this ever since the initial landscape matter with the first developer and the interstate wall. That was very apparent to everyone. So, number one, that initial planning and what you've done to readdress the way it should have been in the first place, you've done an excellent job with it. So, I think I'm very happy in what you're doing, and certainly I'm happy to hear that Taylor Morrison is going along with it as well, because obviously that's a key part of the development of the village at this point in time. So keep up the good work, and whatever you need for the Monarch Garden, I think it's a good thing.
You see that? That caterpillar's on one of the plants out there. So
Yeah.
not one of the ones he planted, mind you. So
I didn't realize that they were threatening the monarch butterflies at this point in time. Did you put in here kind of be threatened a bit? Yeah.
There's, in the area, we have many different host plants for different kinds of butterflies. So it's eastern swallowtails, not just monarchs, but several other plants that they have to have in order to live. So it's not just monarchs that we think about, it's all the other ones. Monarchs have just got a lot of family concern.
And they come a long distance to come up here.
Interesting how they do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
They actually only make it halfway.
Yeah, I run out of steam.
Nature is strange, yes.
Thank you for your work you're doing. Appreciate it.
Trustee Burke.
My neighborhood runs on the northern part of, against the Miller Road, where the southern part of the wall is.
Mm-hmm.
And I always kind of judge based upon the feedback that I get from neighbors. So steadily over the years, we've improved upon that space. There's no doubt we've improved upon the aesthetics of that. It is what it is. And some people have just kind of allowed that to settle in resignation, but we do appreciate your efforts to continue to work on that, the beautification process, as well as the work that you're doing out here. So thank you for that.
I might add that it is critical that these projects are maintained from day one. That was neglected in the beginning, and because of that, weeds immediately, they grow a lot faster than native plants do. So then trying to select the weeds versus the native plants, this takes a lot longer than.
Yeah.
Trustee Thompson. Thank you. First, thank you for all the work you're doing. We really appreciate it. Kevin, so I have a question about the butterfly and rain garden. So I read this before and are we in the process of discussing that? Mr. President?
I haven't, I mean, we can certainly have a conversation about it. I wasn't prepared to discuss it.
Okay. Perhaps next meeting? Sure. About that?
Sure, and I'll ask the administrator to put that on the agenda, especially since the Clark folks are coming in.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I was delighted driving by to see flowers blooming along certain portions of the wall, and I know that's taken an incredible effort over the last couple of years to get those to bloom and the other more noxious weeds and things to.
Challenge.
You know, I envision you and your staff out there with Q-tips and a spray bottle, dabbing.
It's
Selective.
Yeah, they're very, very fast and very good. These guys know, they know about 350 different native species.
You know which
They
ones.
able to hit that, and not a weed or.
It's good, so the work is paying off, and I think if we can, I'm inspired to transfer some of this, particularly over to Frog Farm, to the area there past the gardens, and we have a teasel takeover. Get rid of some of that and get milkweed and some other things
Yes,
established.
it is there. It was planted, so there are a lot of native plants there. It will be, we can discuss that in further detail.
Awesome. Thank you for all the work.
Well, one of the reasons why I do this is not only that I used to work here in this farm with Walter McCross. But Walter was a great friend. And so it's kind of, I enjoyed working for Walter.
It's the floor.
Your foot is, they always touch it.
We've got a short in the connector. That's right. Thank you, Kevin.
Easy fix.
Are there any further questions for Kevin? If not, we appreciate you continued good work, and please keep us updated on things as you deem appropriate and necessary.
Thank you. Take
Thanks,
care.
Thanks.
Okay, I covered a lot of turf in agenda item 5. We move to agenda item 6. This is the first opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the board on non-agenda items. Anybody seeking recognition of that?
Am I too close?
No, I think you're good. Just watch it.
I won't step on it, I promise. I'm Jean Vonderhaar, and I live in Lakeland Estates. We were annexed into this village in 1992 when Nancy Smith was president. And then soon after that came my best friend Connie. And I'm gonna miss her horribly. Anyway, I have some things I'd like to have clarified if I could do that. And this is strictly me. This is not my property owners association. I just need to know this. First thing, there seems to be a misunderstanding about brush. We have several homes that have put brush out by the roadside, assuming that Cuba was going to come get it. And is that not the case? And they were also told to contact Cuba directly, and we've never done that before. We've always gone through the village before going to Cuba.
On this issue or other issues too, Gene?
We don't contact Cuba at all, or we never have. We've always contacted the village.
So if people are clearing like their lots debris at the end of the summer, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and they just bring it over to the roadside on their property, and sometimes it lays there for 2 weeks. We got a lot of houses for sale in our neighborhood.
I'll ask Bill to look into
The
that.
township, or the road district has a one-time,
Yeah,
Like once
they
a
have they have a collection, but Erica, are we aware that they do this on the main?
Yes, they do. They actually just started that not too long ago where you can call for special pickups. So
Do they
if it's
charge
not
for
an
that?
annual pickup for brush and you have brush, they'll pick it up. It's a free program, but you have to call them to set an appointment.
And we call Cuba directly.
Just for that, for the brush pickup.
Okay, because we have never called the Cuba
And also
directly.
for mulch now, they make you call for appointments. If
I'm
you
sorry,
want
what?
mulch dropped off, it's the same thing. You have to call for an appointment, or a drop off.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
It's fairly new, so.
that's
Now, I have a off-the-wall question, and this again is strictly me, no one else. We love being in the village. We would very much love to stay in the village. However, we'd like Wakanda Township to take over our roads again. We are too far away from Cuba Township to get the service that we expect from this village. So if there's any possible way, and of course we'd have to take a vote in our association and, you know, the usual. But I don't know, if you guys are not at all interested in that, then I don't want to go to all the work and try and figure it out and whatever. And I don't even know how you get paid for our roads. I mean, do we pay that through our taxes, or, I mean, who plows it? I know Cuba does, but do we have a contract to come up there? Because we're a long way from Cuba Township. But now, this has nothing to do with, we don't want to be out of this village.
No, I know.
You're not seceding, are you?
I'll address
Okay.
that. So the only way that Cuba Township could maintain your roads, Gene, is if there was an intergovernmental agreement. I'm sorry, Wakanda Township.
Right.
The only way that Wakanda Township could maintain your roads is if there was an intergovernmental agreement between the village and Wakanda Township. Once a road is in a village, it's no longer the township's responsibility, it's the village's responsibility.
Wakanda Township very much wants our roads back. And I know it's an intergovernmental agreement. I've been on this village board long enough to know what it takes to do anything. But it's just a thought that maybe you guys should discuss and see if there's any benefit to you.
No?
We're actually in a process right now of looking at these kinds of questions, so your timing is ideal. Can't give you a response, but I think Karen is leading the effort there and working with Bill to look at that, the roads program and how they're maintained.
So a quick question, Jean, is it for more snow plowing that you weren't getting the response, or just maintenance of the roads in general? Or both?
Mostly, everything.
Everything, okay.
And it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just not what it should be, in my opinion. And again, I've only talked to a couple people in our neighborhood. I haven't even gone before our association board to find out about this. It just was a thought that I had. And it just doesn't seem like it's good cost effectiveness to have Cuba Township coming all the way up there.
So the level of service and the concern about the cost are the two?
Yes, those are my two issues.
All right, thank you.
And Gene, would you say it's gone degraded? I mean, not the roads, but the
Some,
service
yeah.
and the
Some,
response. You're later and later getting certain stuff
Yeah.
done.
And of course, you know that the guy from Cuba Township is now in charge of Wakanda Township roads. So he came up from Cuba Township and he's now the supervisor of the roads up there. Scott is his name, I don't know his last name, I voted for him.
Well, I'll certainly ask, we can communicate to Cuba Township in the short run, just about the service quality concerns. And we are thinking about these questions more broadly. So your timing is good for that kind of consideration. And Karen, I'll ask that you kind of continue your leadership role in that regard.
Oh, she has my job. Isn't it fun?
It's a joy. It's a joy.
It was, I love that job, that part.
You know, one thing we should mention relative to the distance that your subdivision is from Cuba Township. Cuba Township actually, one of their other service partners is Tower Lakes. So they are up in that area when they're performing services under the Tower Lakes contract. But nonetheless, it's, I'm sure we'll explore the options.
Well, here's another example. Anderson Road is governed by 3 different people. So when Wakanda Township comes here, they lift their plows and go past Lake Barrington, and then they go back where they're at again, and then Wakanda has part of it. So you've got 3 different people taking care of a mile. Does that make a lot of sense to you guys? Cost-wise, it doesn't to me. And at least if we only had Cuba Township up there plowing everything rather than lifting their plow and going up, it's really kind of silly because a lot of times Wakanda Township and Wakanda comes through a lot sooner than Cuba does. So here we have Lake Barrington in snow up to here and,
The rest of the road is plowed.
yeah, the rest of the rest is all clear.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, and I've just been to do it, well, actually, I'm retired and I got nothing else to do, Ken.
Get back to work.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people are saying, including my husband. I have one other thing, I did see it in here that we're not gonna have a village administrator until October. Didn't Chris leave in January?
Jim, do you want to comment on this?
Well, the search is moving forward for a new village administrator, and that process is underway.
Let's see, I said roads and brush and that's it, that's all I have.
Well, I'll ask Karen to keep in touch with you on this other matter.
Sure.
Sure. I need your contact info. So if you want to give it to Eric on the side or something.
I call verification. Just to bother. I used to be able to do that with Chris, and he's gone, so I have to do it with Erica. What? Yeah.
I guess the good news is, Gene, you guys aren't having problems with like fire department response or something, so this is good. We can handle roads,
It was just occasionally that I had an opportunity that my husband had to call an ambulance for me. They were there in 5 minutes.
Wakanda, yeah, they're real good. Yeah, Wakanda, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
Wakanda
right.
comes,
There it
yes,
is, yeah.
yes. And strangely enough, I knew both of the ambulance drivers. And what was worse is I was overdosed from the hospital. They gave me too much meds. And it's so embarrassing because these 2 guys went to school with my kids. So now they're running around. No, they don't do that. Anyway, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for
I'm
coming.
gonna leave you now.
Okay, thank you.
Gene, you're not staying, you mean? You're not going to stay for the whole meeting?
No, I'm gonna not.
There is no consent agenda tonight, so we can move to the treasurer's report under agenda item number 8.
Driving the crowd away, it's too bad.
This one was gonna get good. Yeah. Treasurer's report.
So we have before us the financial statements for the month ended May 31st, 2017. So we're 1 month through our fiscal year, or 2018 fiscal year. I'd like to note at the front that just 1 month behind us, it's hard to make any real meaningful comparisons, but I will go through the numbers, for the exercise. So on page 2, as usual, we'll start with our flash report. We have total assets of $2,056,000. Current liabilities of $790,000. and equity of $1,266,000. So our liabilities and equity are equal to our assets at $2,056,000. For the month ended, May 31st, we have $215,000 in total revenue. Our expenses are $199,000, which gives us a net income of $16,000. There are no extraordinary items this month, so that means our net income from operations is that number, $16,547,000, compared to this point last year of $33,251. Once again, I don't think it makes any sense to have any real comparisons between these 2 months. So if we go to, look forward to page 7 and 8, we'll look at our actual to budget. 1 month of the year, we're 8% through our fiscal year. Interesting enough, our revenues are right at 8% actual to budget on page 7, and on page 8, right at 8% for actual to budget for expenditures. Once again, nothing to really note unless you have particular questions on the actual to budget report. Okay, page 9, we'll look at our motor fuel tax fund. That now has cash available of about $392,000. I think I mentioned last month that we have about $240,000 of road work planned in that fund this fiscal year.
Is that the Savannah work?
Correct. Okay, page 12, we'll look at the water sewer fund. We have net current assets of $1,000,003 in that fund. One thing to note, for budget repairs, we do have $371,000 for repairs and maintenance. As you'll hear later in the meeting tonight, the water tower painting came in much lower than expected. Much lower, meaning $120,000 less than expected. So now we're down about $250,000 of planned expenditures in that fund. The open space fund on page 15. We have those 2 bank accounts. The first one is for operations, and that's at $142,000. That's what we have in that fund to fund any sort of ongoing repairs and maintenance in the open space. The $55,000 in that open space bonds bank account is strictly to pay interest and principal payments for the bonds. Next payment comes up in October. So this account right now, the only activity this month was $1,650 for our rental income. About $87 and $88 in some little repair, but nothing really to note. Any questions on any of the funds? Okay, and our warrants tonight, I've reviewed the accounts payable. We just have warrant A tonight. Since this meeting is a little bit later than usual, and the next meeting is in 2 weeks, there was no reason for warrant B. A couple of expenditures on there that you don't normally see. We have to municipal CMS, a $31.96 payment. That's our annual hosting fee. It's hard to believe we've had this website for a year, but that date is coming up. And then, of course, the $5,000 to Cuba Township in Connie's honor. And then one last thing to note, the auditors are in this week. Lauterbach and Amon is in this week for field work. They have one more day tomorrow. So far, it's gone very smoothly. I anticipate tomorrow to be the same. Debbie's done a fabulous job in having everything prepared before they get here. So it's really kind of a, print and send, or just a send exercise and pull a few invoices. So that's really all I have. Any questions tonight?
Is the $5,000 going to be coming out of the donations category?
It will, yes.
Okay. Is that 3,000 something?
That's because the $5,000 will be expense this month. What you're looking at is expenses for last month.
In balance. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
So next month will be $8,196 or whatever it is.
Okay.
Further questions for the treasurer? Thank you, Peggy, very, very much. Appreciate it. The chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 8A and B. A, approve the financial statements as of May 31st, 2017. And 8B, pay bills in the amount of $288,896.26 as listed on the accounts payable warrant A dated July 18th, 2017. And as the treasurer noted, there is no warrant fee this evening. May I have a motion to approve the clock?
So moved.
By trustee Rigby, thank you.
Second.
By trustee Thompson, thank you both. The clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burt,
Yes.
trustee Dalton Lane,
Yes.
trustee Mitchell,
Yes.
trustee Rigby,
Aye.
trustee Schaller,
Yes.
trustee Thompson,
Yes.
and Mayor Richardson.
Yes, thank you very much. Before we go to agenda item 9, because it's a nice segue, and I meant to do this earlier in the president's remarks. I was gone a lot the last 2 weeks, but I came home and I drove over by Speedway, and it looks like our very able administrator has done a very good job protecting those trees from inadvertent mishap. You obviously tagged them carefully and watched them, and I understand that 5 walnut trees of high quality have been further preserved that weren't part of the original plan, so I commend you for that. It looks terrific coming from the north that faces the community. The overall project will screen some of the areas that have been cleared of buckthorn and the low quality or dead trees. So I know that I put a lot of pressure on you and Jeff Perry on those trees, and I want you to know I appreciate it because it's obvious you've done your job very, very well. And I thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And with that, I'm going to recognize you for the administrator's report.
Thank you, and you took care of the Trillium report, and I think it was excellent. Kevin Ritchie does a wonderful job for us, and we're really happy to have him as a part of the team, as a contractor, as a high-level contractor. Reflects the commitment we have to the native grasses of the plants of the village. But I did want to talk for a minute about the comprehensive plan. Your plan commission has done an outstanding and very thorough job in developing, reviewing, and affirming the changes and recommendations of the comprehensive plan, has conducted its public hearing and has tendered a recommendation to the village board. The document that you saw over the weekend was in Dropbox format, but on Friday we will be delivering to you all the edited changes, so you would have ample time to do your review in advance of our consideration of the adoption of the ordinance, which we're now targeting for September 5th.
That's correct.
So that'll be a good time. There was a lot of tedium in the meetings that I attended, but also focus on the part of the commission to make sure it was done right. Erica Rosillo did an outstanding job as our liaison to the Planning Commission and kind of coordinating the update, the edits of and coordinating with the planning consultant to get it done. But the basic principles of the comprehensive plan, and I know you've all looked at earlier drafts, really reaffirms the success of the village and also focuses on the importance of balance in economic development, balance in housing, and a commitment to natural preservation and enhancement. And so it really represents an excellent document. I think it'll be a great planning tool as the policies of the village develop in the next several months to support the decision-making that this comprehensive plan will enable us to provide some structure. We've already used it on a staff basis on individual inquiries for exotic housing opportunities and unique issues that really aren't consistent with our plans. And one of the things I've said is that, look, we know that we're not just making this up. We know what our success is about, and we've had the opportunity to thoroughly review every chapter, and really every page in every chapter of the comprehensive plan, and affirm the importance of what's contained in this document is not just a hint on planning, but what we want to see as the foundational plan. So I was very impressed with the effort of the Planning Commission. They have tendered the recommendation. This will be in your hands on Friday, and we'll be bringing this back for ordinance adoption on ordinance consideration, if you will, at our September 5th meeting. And frankly, given the strength of the Planning Commission recommendation, the staff continues to use this to this day as a guidepost for prospective speculators and developers interested in being a part of our community. We welcome all investment in our community, but it has to be consistent with our plan. So very close on this, but we would await any comments that would come in. And as you get those comments, if they do come in, please route them to myself or Erica, and we'll make sure that they get invited into the final report for your consideration.
Thank you for that. Are there questions for the administrator in that regard?
Yeah, I have a comment and question if I could. First of all, the comment being that as Chair of Economic Development, as we've talked many times, I'm very excited to be getting a look at this and being able to use this to start guiding those decisions that you referred to, Mr. Vaughn. The second thing is just curious as to how much resident involvement have we had in this process? You know, to your understanding, have we had people show up for planning commission meetings or during the time where we were soliciting input? How would you gauge resident input?
We have had input. Actually, I've only attended, due to my limited tenure here, 3 meetings where this was discussed, but they were public hearing sessions, and we had a variety of input. We actually had some people that were activists in earlier zoning decisions in the village that remained active, and I mean that's a good thing that their interest is in the importance of planning. You know, this is a small community, and I think a small community and a stable governing structure, people are relying on the planning commission and the board and their judgment. So I don't view, I think the numbers were reasonable. They weren't high, we didn't fill the room, but we had a representation of people and people present, and we did get some input from the agencies in service. You know, the fire districts had an opportunity to comment on this and provided us both formal and informal comment, but not a standing only crowd for our hearings, but certainly a variety of perspectives on what the future should look like and what context we should place in it. So I thought it was valuable, but also an affirmation that I think there was a confidence level within the community that the board and the commission liked wisely and on their behalf.
Great, thank you. I asked because, you know, certainly it's no secret that as we went through the process with Speedway, I think, you know, if there's a silver lining in that whole process where either some people were surprised, dismayed, or drove additional concerns about, well, is this the beginning of something even bigger that we should fear more than something on a very busy corner? I think if that served to even motivate 5 or 6 people to show up and ask further questions about what other type of development plans might we have, where are the areas that we were focusing on, or if they're there to champion on behalf of the community or their neighborhood, that's a positive thing. And I just want to reiterate that I would hope that lots of people would show up and have something to say, because what we don't try to do is to surprise people. We want to be transparent, and the document is a living, working document that guides our decisions, but it's one where we certainly want our residents to understand what we've decided to do. So I guess that leads to another comment, which is, you know, when we've adopted and approved, might there be, you know, another chance for us to, or do you intend to review that at a meeting in any more detail where we could tell residents that we'll be doing a sort of a high-level review of that, so people...
Well, I did anticipate having a consulting planner at the meeting on the 5th. I told him not to come to this because we wanted to have more of an overview, and the board hasn't had a chance to really comment in the final draft in paper form. But we do expect Representative from House of Levine will be in the meeting on the 5th, and will defend the assumptions in the report. And frankly, we'll certainly also ask Chairman to kind of guide his perspective on whether it's right.
Well, I hope that if people see that on the agenda and they feel like they either not had any put together or just curious, that they would come out for that discussion.
As a follow-up to that, maybe it would be a good idea for the Barnstown to have some type of display or overview of the comprehensive plan inside the barn, where people can just take a look at the major points that are brought up in the comprehensive plan to know what direction the village is going as a result of that. And the question I have we had any anti-speedway calls or reactions since construction began?
We've had inquiries, yes, there's still passion in the village about Speedway. We had one right after the construction started that was said there was construction trucks blocking Kelsey. Actually, what turned out to be completely unrelated to the construction. It was a semi-truck that was trying to turn around and make a wrong turn on Kelsey, but he had to do a 3-point turn. He was using the driveway to back in.
But that call went out of the village, but it went to the highway department. And the nice thing about that intersection is that's a cambered intersection, so anybody can dial it up and see a rotating camera, what's going on the site. And so you can have 24/7 review, but that was one that was unfounded. There was, there is passion about that property. I don't think that'll go away until it's completed and it's used as an asset to the community. But there's still comments, and we heard some at the plan commission level about, oh, this was, we're going the wrong direction, et cetera. So it's there, but I think that judgment will be softened once they see the benefits that are accrued to it. It'll be a very nice facility.
Well, to that end, and I was going to touch on this in my report, but I will touch on it since we're on the subject. I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the conversations that are taking place behind the scenes with everyone from the construction folks, our engineering group, Erica, Bill Balling, about how important it is that these contractors and this construction is done to the letter of the intent, both in terms of design, but also in terms of the expectations that we have of things like not blocking traffic, not creating road surface debris, not creating undue noise, not working before or after designated hours. And I can assure you that we have had multiple conference calls that I've participated in where we have said no in certain terms. We will not tolerate any variation from the plan and any variation from the outline of the work hours, etc., traffic patterns. And what we said is we do not want to invite public scrutiny that this is something where we failed in the construction portion of this project. So I say that to people who may be watching at home. I say it to the people up here that we're working extremely hard to ensure that this is done right from start to finish. And I applaud everybody who's been involved in that aspect of it. And the monitoring that has taken place of the activity out there, including what we talked about, the trees. I mean, literally having people like Bill and our engineers standing out there marking trees and not allowing contractors on that property to consider cutting a tree until it is proven point blank by somebody. So there were going to be no trees that would be removed in error. To that end, President Richardson alluded to the fact that some high quality trees may very well be preserved that were originally not going to be preserved because of some rerouting of detention. So I think, I don't know if Mr. Balling or the engineers noted that or who actually pointed it out, but I'd like to applaud that with some subtle changes to retention. We were able to not have to remove some high quality trees, and which is a great bonus to the overall program. One last add, simply as an FYI and a courtesy to the board, as it relates to that tree line, I'm pleased to hear that people who have driven by it recognize that whatever tree removal is taking place there has not killed the screening or the canopy, which is the goal. We have had arborists out there working also directly to identify good trees, bad trees, trees that are diseased, sick, dying, or dead. In working with Mr. Balling, there'll be probably some additional tree removal in there simply now to improve the quality of the vegetation and the growth that's there for the long haul. And when that's finished and when the construction begins, we'll take another look at the screening from the south side to determine if additional screening is required once all that's finished, whether there's any ground cover, trees, or other things that would augment the tree line once all that clearing is done. Because when you do clearing sometimes, and particularly deadwooding and buckthorn and other invasives, sometimes the initial reaction is it kills some of the screening and people go, what have you done? Well, the reality is that's for the overall health, and ultimately we'll work with Speedway to assess if screening on that side is required. So
that is correct.
I wanted to get that out there as well in full disclosure. It's a fluid and active process of ensuring that we do it right along that tree line, along with everything else that we're working on.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
And related to that, if I can just step in, I know I had sent an email around this morning when I noticed there was no signage up. And I think that's being
Yeah,
You
there's,
know, with sign ordinance and size.
yeah, actually Speedway was a little overly ambitious initially because they actually wanted to pepper their fence with signage, and they said, well, we do this elsewhere, and I said, well, elsewhere is not Lake Barrington. So we're in agreement that we want to have a nice illustrative sign of what's coming. They view it as extremely important that they have some sort of potential employment information, which
Job now
they're using
hiring,
as a board. But it's, our ordinance really limits it to the number of signs. And we talked about that, and I said, look, I have no authority to expand your signs, and I don't think the village is interested in changing its ordinance. But see what you can work with, and what they came up with was a kind of a foresight thing to relate to construction, to relate to kind of marketing and employment. And I think that'll be nice. I think people do try to peek around the screen, so people are looking at the site. And, but I think that the screen is having its intended purpose as well.
Thank you very much for following up with that.
Yeah, and I would just, one other comment, I didn't specifically mention Speedway. I mentioned everybody but Speedway, but they have been very, very good partners in this and very responsive with every issue that we've raised with them and quick to respond. So they understand what's at stake, and they're equally invested in ensuring that not only the right construction process throughout, but the right outcome. So thrilled about that as well.
Are there?
I have a comment.
Well, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Trustee Burke and Bill Wall and the staff for all the work that they have done on this project to date, because as we know, it has a long and difficult history behind it, and it's important that this process be handled the correct way throughout, from beginning to end, when the as I call it, refueling station opens. And I just wanted to make that very clear, to thank them for all the work they've done.
Thank you.
Are there further questions for the administrator on his report? There is no clerk's report, so we can move to the standing committee reports under agenda item 11. A is roads and infrastructure. Trustee Dalton Lang, everybody has been worried about the flooding, so any comments you have on that, just to be of general interest, and then your other comments.
Sure, I think that Fox River was cresting earlier today, and I drove around. I think I told you earlier, I was on vacation last week, a staycation, and my sister was in from out of town, and she got to drive the Village of Lake Barrington streets with me, all along the Fox River, Casimore, Brookside, Harbor Estates, where we have some properties. Some of our residents live near the Fox River. And, you know, I think most of the residents that live along the river are aware of how strong and forceful and powerful a river can be, and the flooding risks. And when I drove down Casimore on Wednesday, and one of the houses had already been sandbagged in preparation. And then I think it was the next day when, was it the No Wake, they closed their parking lot and they were sandbagging. And on Saturday, actually, the road was flooded, you know, overtopped and that things. But all in all, I think, you know, Lake Barrington's been spared a lot of the heartache that some of the other Lake County communities have been, and so there'll be a lot of work with other communities in cleanup and FEMA insurance claims, et cetera. So, yeah, so that's, you know, my heart goes out to people, because a flooded basement is no fun, and even further in. But I think for our town, it's been minimal compared to some of the other towns, which just goes to good planning. Speaking of drainage, Mr. Balling and I have been working on updating the drainage guidelines. You'll recall that a few years ago, we outlined some drainage guidelines and priorities of how the village would treat certain things. And there's just a couple more tweaks we'd like to bring in front of you, so we'll bring that, we had a full agenda this month, so we'll bring it forward next month. Savannah has done resurfacing, and we'll be looking at the roads for capital plan going forward later this fall. That's my report.
Okay, 11. Are there questions for Trustee Dalton Lang? If not, 11B, Communications and Community Relations, Trustee Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. At first, we'd like to do an update on the barn stomp on Saturday, October 14th. Debbie Vernon has done a remarkable job, a terrific job in getting this all together. She's, for example, one of the things she's done is she's put a save the date advertisement in the May Village newsletter with the details. She's booked the band, the Fox Valley Grass, the same band as last year. They play their great bluegrass music. The caterers booked, get ready to eat. Same as last year, of course, same picnic type food. We're looking for volunteers for setup, clean up, tear down, and children's activities. The parking volunteers will be the veterans of Lake Barrington Shores, as usual. Pardon me. And next update is the Northwest Corridor. We have a July 25th meeting about that, and which I will be attending, and I'll report back in our August meeting on that. And just an update on what we had discussed before, a summer concert potential at Friar Farm. I've been in contact with the Barrington High School music department. They have expressed a bit of interest in that, trying to work together with him over the course of the summer, where he's in and out, you know, and so forth, and the students obviously aren't there. We explained to him that we like to have the band, we like to have individual performers, groups, jazz groups, whatever types of entertainment they have working there with their students. We're looking forward to possibly having that. And, pardon me, and also we're looking at considering a battle of the bands with the Barrington High School Band, Crystal Lake Band, and the Mundelein High School Band. So, and that's about it, Mr. President.
Terrific, thank you very much. A lot of what we talked about in the Committee of the Whole will be rolling out starting this fall, so it's a good time to connect some of these events, and thank you for your work. 11C, Economic Development. Trustee Berg, I don't know if there's anything further for you to add.
Not too much on Speedway, other than we are thrilled that we've broken ground and started, and things are moving along very nicely, and there's a tremendous spirit of collaboration out there on all parties' part, so that's exciting to see. And I think the last thing is to invite everybody on this board to make their frequent drive-bys, because one of the things we said, our eyes and ears on the project are important, and everybody has something to say. And if you see something that is problematic, that you like, that you don't like, you know, place a call back to me or to Bill Baldwin or anybody, because that's what we said. If we have more eyes looking at it, we might catch something early on, right? So y'all can participate in that as you drive by, and think about it like any resident would think about it. You know, are you looking at things that are troubling to you as you drive by? Gravel on the road, trucks blocking the road surface, anything that seems out of place. So everybody, all folks are invited to do that. We want to look at it with a critical eye. A couple other things. I know last meeting when I was not here, we had Alex Ulanoff, who was the new owner of Peterson Plaza. I believe spoke to all of you, kind of gave a high-level view of his plans, and particularly thrilled. I think he's interested in renaming it the Lake Barrington Commons, which is pretty exciting as part of speaking to our brand, and has intentions certainly. I've met with him on a couple of occasions to improve the aesthetics and improve the clientele. And I'm happy to say that he's actually, you know, he's not all talk. He's got things, and he's already started. He's already relocated the Pompilio trucking guys, so those trucks are all moved out that used to be parked back there. So he's making way for high quality tenants, and he's very active. He's been in contact with us, working with Erica on permitting issues, everything from sprinkling and other stuff. So he's excited to get going, and I will be meeting with him this week also to get a little more insight on the things that he's trying to do and how we make sure that we are supporting him in his efforts to get that done. I also happen to know that he and Kathleen Scott are in quite close communication, because he's interested in certainly the critical mass that Kathleen has created as part of the Pepper Park and Lake Barrington Business Council, and he sees the benefit of being part of that. which speaks volumes to the work that she's doing there. So he's attached himself to that. She knows a lot of people, she knows a lot of things getting done, and she's actually sort of actively working with him to help find tenants. So there's some positive sort of collaboration that's taking place there. So actually Kathleen and I and Alex have been working together on helping him be successful in that area, and I'm excited there'll be more to come. He has some pretty good ideas. And I think when that's said and done, that's going to be a giant step change for us in terms of how that presents itself to the rest of the community. And enhance those that are already there, like the Horseshoe Grill. I think they will only benefit from the work that we're doing out there.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. There's a couple other things that are kind of very early in the process that are too early to talk about, but again, there are some exciting things. There's a lot of continued interest in our community, and some things happening on that front that hopefully in the next couple of meetings we'll be able to talk about. But and then behind that, obviously, we're going to put together our more formal plan as we have our comp plan finished, where we can outline for everybody exactly by area the types of businesses that we are trying to attract to Lake Barrington, with the idea of balancing commercial space, amendments to the residents' revenue generation, and preserving that overall open space feel to the community. So it's exciting times ahead for us on this front. I look forward to bringing you up to date. That's my report.
Thank you. Are there questions for Trustee Burke?
Excuse me, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I forgot one item that I wanted to talk about.
That's okay.
And that is, if you recall, we were working with Good Shepherd Hospital regarding a cancer event there with Dr. Rosen. And we put that off. We're looking at October, which is Cancer Month. And we are in discussion right now about that. And I hope it's going to be probably mid-August or late August before I have any more news about that.
Wonderful.
But it's still on at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Did they have a date for that in October?
No, they do not at this point.
Okay. 11D, there's, on the external relations side, I think you all know that there was an override of the governor's veto of the state budget proposal. It includes some tinkering with the local government distributed fund. I don't think it's going to have a horrific effect upon us, but our working assumption of the last couple of years that we're increasingly going to be on our own, and that the money that is rightfully ours is vulnerable to be withheld, notwithstanding that. So I'm certainly not happy about that. I did get calls from Congressman Roscoe's office, from State Senator Dan McConkey's office, from state representatives Nick Sauer and Amy Sweeney's offices, and from our county board member, and I'm having a senior moment here, all asking about the flood impact upon us, because this is such a top-of-mind subject in Lake County. As Karen mentioned, we've been spared the worst of it, especially since we boarded the Fox River. We've really been lucky. Mike Danforth, thank you. Thank you, County Board Member Mike Danforth. All of them have been kind enough to call to see how we're doing. And I've been happy to say that their efforts are better spent helping others who are in genuine need. So that's all I have on that. Let me move to agenda item 11E, Finance and HR Administration. Trustee Rick.
Just one question on your report. Did the local government distributed funds, did they get cut by 10% like they had anticipated?
I think it's a 12. Peggy, do you know off the top of your head?
I thought it was 10. It's interesting because the state raised income tax, but we're not getting any of that. We're getting 10% less, my understanding of how it's written. I could be wrong now.
That's what the Lake County Municipal League had gone out with earlier, and I didn't know if that got stuff like that or not.
I heard 10, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I heard it.
But what I think is interesting is they're raising income tax.
We're not.
We're not getting any of that. We're getting 10% less than what we collected last year. It's nothing to do with what, yes, they're going
So
to,
for our town, it's around $50,000.
yeah, 40, 44, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. Thank you.
You know, when I go to these U.S. conference of mayors meetings and you meet mayors from other parts of the country and you say you're from Illinois, they say, oh, sorry. Unbelievable. 11E, Finance, HR, and Administration, Trustee Rigby.
I just have one item, and that is, this week we're taking a look at, we're renewing the insurance for the employees here. So we'll be taking a look at an insurance plan for beginning next year. That's all I have.
Questions for Trustee Rigby? 11F, Open Space and Village Facilities, Trustee Mitchell.
Thank you. There's quite a bit of stuff going on as far as research and work on our property, including Friar Farm, and the assessment by the engineering firm is underway to determine status of our buildings and immediate grounds and public area as well. And I've undertaken several different projects here, one of which right now is looking at our total open space within the community. Part of this is tied into the comprehensive plan, but also trying to figure out, we are right now, I mentioned this in an early meeting, we're at the opportune sweet spot of having enough open space and then our other spaces for use. So I hope to have a little more of that put together at the coming meetings to sort of look at what we are protecting, what we are saving. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Yeah, I got a lot of compliments. Some people have been out at the Friar Farm, not only the gardeners, but just that boardwalk that goes out into the wetlands has become popular. Kids up here like it because you can't see them because the cattails get so high. Makes parents a little nervous.
What are they doing on?
Yeah. But whatever they were doing, you haven't done since the Ford administration, so.
I never smoked. Or did you?
I'm sorry, I don't get a clear shot of you that often. 11G, Public Safety and Gate Community.
As I mentioned though before, one of the bean bags is leaking all the beans out of it.
Yes.
So that's replace that charge of the bean bags. You're charging bean
I'm
bags.
gonna have to take care of that. But I need a bean counter to help me get the beans, the correct number of beans.
And it looked like one of the doors on the chicken coop was kind of off, it's kind of hanging sideways there, so.
Well, that's always been off, because that's why the chickens are out into the road.
Yeah,
Oh,
they were out the road the other
I
day.
do all the time, yeah.
Yes, and they cross, why do they cross that road? To get into the pond over at the lodge. That's the only place to cross.
They have a real reason to cross.
They have a reason to cross that road.
That's good to know.
Thank you.
As far as public safety, you talk about the impact of the state. The Barrington Countryside Fire Protection District had a meeting last night. I've been going to their meetings on a regular basis. But the state has swept $10 million from the Cornerstone pre-training program for fire departments around the state. So it's amazing that even those departments are getting swept and their funds and have no say over it. But rest assured, the Barrington Countryside Fire Protection District did pass their 17-18 budget, and it's just a tad higher than ours, $14.3 million. So $7.5 million is their corporate income, and the ambulance is almost $7 million of that as well. So it's a big operation. They also, I haven't known what a connector boat is, but the Prospect Heights Fire District gave the Barrington Countryside a never-used connector boat. So maybe they could use it for the floods, whatever a connector boat is. Wakanda Fire Department is meeting Thursday. I'm going to go to that meeting. Both representatives from both, as I selfishly note, the Farmers Market Touch-a-Truck will be happening a week from tonight, and the Barrington Countryside Fire Protection District will have their plumbers and the fire department truck. Wakanda will have a truck. Cuba Township will have a few vehicles, and Lake County Sheriff's Department will involve and have a couple of vehicles too. So bring youngins and touch a truck and have a good time. Next Tuesday at the Farmers Market.
Just beating up this more, they won't let you drive them because I've tried.
Did you?
Yeah, I wanted to drive a Lake County Sheriff car, they wouldn't let me.
Oh, yeah. I think Deputy Robin ought to be there, so maybe she'll let you drive it.
I asked her, no, she didn't trust me at all.
She didn't trust you at all.
Maybe you shaved.
Speaking about the department, Sergeant Briggs, Rob Briggs was here tonight for Lieutenant Thompson, and the only thing that they wanted to do is caution residents about locking their high-end vehicles that are left in a driveway. In many other affluent communities, Lake Barrington is an affluent community, it seems the crew is back this summer looking for unlocked high-end vehicles. Once the offenders locate an unlocked vehicle with the key fob still in, they see it as good as gone. Wilmette police have just found themselves in a car chase with 5 stolen vehicles. At the same time, one of the vehicles recovered returned to an owner in Libertyville. And Sergeant had mentioned tonight, he said that a lot of people that leave these new fobs in their vehicle unlocked, even if you put the fob in the garage and leave the service door open. They're going in the garage, taking the fob, starting the vehicle, and the people don't even know the vehicle is gone until the next morning.
Wow.
So just as a heads up, we don't have that problem with LBS. But elsewhere around the community, we don't have any high-end vehicles with LBS. Not like that anymore. So that's what's happening with regards to that. And as far as the open or the gated communities, my enclave report, Andy Keener participated in the Mackinac race, therefore I couldn't get a response from him. I understand that race didn't go very well. A lot of the boats went out of it, but anyhow, they're continuing, I know, to develop that. And as far as Tallgrass, I didn't get a report either, but I did drive through Tallgrass, and a lot of those lots on the north end that overlook the fen had sold marks on them, so that's a good sign that eventually somebody's going to be building if they aren't already. So that seems to me they're doing pretty well up there. And as far as Lake Barrington Shores, we've enhanced our marina, got a lot of activities going on at the marina. The Veterans Memorial Day was a big success, and we got a lot of other activities going on as well. So,
John, you mentioned it. Peggy, I saw, Debbie, that our permit income was up. Was that housing permits?
Yeah. I actually looked at housing more. In fact, we had our.
Was that like 80,
acting as
something like 80
Clark.
grand or something?
Since we have our permit corner acting as Deputy Clerk, may I ask Erica to speak up? We did talk, her and I spoke about this. It's about 3 or 4 homes in Enclave and 2 or 3 in Tallgrass, I think is what the.
Right, that are under construction.
Wonderful.
I have 2 that are going to be sealed soon, they're not included in the count, and I have 3 more under review right now. For both subdivisions.
For both of them.
Gotta love that.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is all margin business.
And the matter report will selfishly come out onto the farmer's market next Tuesday.
Thank you. Questions for Trustee Shelby? Okay, we can move to agenda item 14, the resolutions. 14A. Mr. Bateman, you want to set this one up for us?
As discussed last month at the committee of the whole, Mr. Balling did submit a proposal to the village for a not-to-exceed price for the search services that WRB LLC will be providing to the village at the quoted price, and then it also anticipates an overhead charge that's typical of their contracts with the village, as well as an estimate for out-of-pocket expenses. And Bill, you might want to comment on that you don't really think, that's really a placeholder, you don't really think this
Yeah, I don't
likely to be.
I don't anticipate, because we're doing a regional search and the candidate pool is locally positioned, so I don't think there'll be much, if any, out of area travel and housing and things of that sort necessary. So that's the customary allowance that we put in our contracts, but that'll be an exception rather than the rule for this search.
This is a simple addendum that incorporates that proposal from Bill's firm into the existing contract with his firm. And so it's a very short document because it relies on all the terms and provisions of our original agreement with him.
Questions for Mr. Bateman or Mr. Balling? Okay, we did talk about this in the committee of the whole, so we've got a plan and we're moving forward.
You should exit.
Okay, I'd like to recuse myself. Exit.
Chair,
Yes, briefly.
Yep. Chair notes that Trustee Dalton Lang recused and excused herself at 8:43 p.m.
plan.
There's really
Some
nothing a
proof.
lot further to this. We've got a plan and we're moving forward.
And basically, that's what I told you.
Yeah.
I mean, we have
Yeah.
but it's underway.
And, you know, it's appropriate in public forum to thank Randy for a hell of a lot of work. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. So now we're going to Karen Tush should come back.
Well, we need
Well, we got some resolutions.
I'm sorry. That would be nice for you. wouldn't it? What resolution number are we on, Eric?
16.
Thank you. Chair would like a motion to approve resolution number 2017-R-16, a resolution to approve an agreement amendment to the independent contractor agreement between WRB LLC and the Village of Lake Barrington. May I have that motion, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Mitchell, seconded by Trustee Thompson. Thank you, gentlemen. The clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell?
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie? Trustee Shao?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Richardson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we can, right?
Oh, Robert, yeah.
Thanks,
He's
everybody.
probably eating that cookie in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, bring those in here.
Count me as cookies.
We're gonna go to waste otherwise.
14B, a resolution approving the third amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Lake Barrington and the Lake County Forest Preserve District dated December 15th, 1989. And actually, Trustee Dalton Lanks returned for this conversation.
With a cookie.
Yeah, literally.
There was spare candy.
I guess we'd all like to introduce ourselves.
I got business to take care of.
All right, well, that lead in, I'll talk about the third
Change the
amendment
subject.
idea. As you may recall, I ran into the main president of the Lake County Forest Preserve a few months ago at a Citizens for Conservation event, and we started talking, and she asked if we could revisit our agreement, because our current agreement with the Lake County Forest Preserve says no bikes allowed on the trails. And so I did a little research, and just as a quick history for some of you that haven't been around since 1989, I know Mr. Bateman was, but the original agreement was with the Lake County Forest Preserve, and it was basically so that we wouldn't object, that we basically consent to their purchasing a lot of the land around us for the use for a future trail. Also that they would agree not to buy this land, because we must have been looking at this property at that point. And it also talked about what the trail would be used for, no bikes. So subsequently, a few years after that, we entered into a first amendment to that, and that was back in '01. And that was basically saying, hey, they could park here at the village hall, or on our lot, and that they could put a sign up. So, and still the bike prohibition remained in that First Amendment. In the Second Amendment, I recall this one, this was in '06, and it was to allow people with dogs on leashes to use the trail, because the original document said no dogs. And it opened the door to bikes, saying, hey, if the Village of Lake Barrington ever wants to have bikes, we should contact the Forest Preserve and say, hey, let's do it. But at that, in the Second Amendment, it actually says we would pay for the upkeep in the trails. Where we're at now is this proposed Third Amendment would say, hey, bikes can use the trails. And based on my conversation with Ed was that they would take care of the trails. And it's not like we're making bike lanes or anything like that, but the trails can be suitable for bikes. With our earlier conversations with her, we had a meeting. Trustee Mitchell was there as well. And the idea would be the trails that go up to LBS, I call it LBS trail up there, and all the way down to Kelsey Road would be open. Lake County Forest Preserve does not want to open the Grassy Lake Trail. I call it the Kelsey Road Trail, with the new parking area and going up to the high point because of the hills. They don't want the tires to wear on that. But the fact of the matter is our trails are being used by a lot of families. I see families out there. We use the trails quite frequently with our dogs. And so actually, Attorney Bateman has laid this out pretty well, as he does with all of our agreements. And I puts the onus on them, and they would be amenable to it, to maintain the trails. And basically, we would be taking down the sign that's out there that says, please no bikes on the trails.
And Karen, we're not making any irreversible decision here, so.
No, we have the option at any time, I think, the verbiage. Is there anything I'm forgetting, highlights?
I don't think so, no. I have not vetted this document with the Forest Preserve.
I have not vetted this particular document. I kept Ann Main up to date on what we are doing. So at this, once if we decide to approve this, then we would send it off to them and they would look at it and enter into an IGA, right?
Yeah, and I would recognize that if they come back with it substantially the same document, we should proceed because that's the language of the resolution. So at this point in time, we really don't know if they are agreeable about maintaining the trails?
The president of the Forest Preserve District said they are agreeable and it was their idea. It's just that we haven't presented them with like.
And they haven't officially.
Right, so we go first, because we're the smaller agency, and then they go second.
Does this impact the liability of the village at all?
No.
Okay.
That's not, and there's a tort immunity for recreational trails as well. But they are still their trails. Just a small part that may be on our property behind the village, but generally speaking, they're 99% their liability, not ours.
And their maintenance.
And their maintenance.
And they maintain it now.
Are there further questions for Trustee Dalton, Mike, or Mr. Baker?
I have one.
Please.
Regarding the bicycles using the trails. What kind of maintenance, additional maintenance do you think that might require?
One of the original concerns about having bikes we have the gravelly trails and sandy at some points, is that you could potentially have running after a heavy rain. Typically, a lot of bikes aren't out after heavy rain, but it's potentially, a concern. So that would be one of them, so that kind of goes with their general maintenance of the trails. They have a vehicle that goes up and down on a regular basis to check out things. I know, I've been out there before when you see a truck driving and you're like.
And that's the only damage I have seen to the trails is from their vehicle when they go and spray weeds and cut trees from their own, and then they repair it, but that's the damage.
And I've seen deer hoof prints, in some of the softer areas after a heavier rain, that'll happen, so they go out and repair that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Because a lot of the trails are asphalt, aren't they, as opposed to the gravel?
Just,
A lot of them are
It's all crushed
gravel.
it's all except for one, the connector behind or across from Friar Farm that goes over. There's a section, the grade is embanked and steep, and that is
That's
bad.
asphalt.
But I mean, in other parts of the county, I thought a lot of them are asphalt.
It's a mix. I mean, the Millennium Trail is mostly.
Yeah, the further east you go, there's more.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
right.
ours are all, the ones on the roads are all crushed.
Right. Limestone screen.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. Are bikes, so are we the exception that we had prohibited bikes? Is the Forest Preserve all over, I guess what I'm trying to say is, they're bike friendly everywhere, and then we've come in and said we didn't want bikes on our stretch? Is that
Pretty
right?
much.
To my knowledge, I think there was some concern when the discussion of trails were originating, was that because of the sensitive environmental nature of our areas, we were concerned at that time that off-road bikes were really popular, and some of the Creek County trails were having issues where people would ride off trail and do damage to the flora. So at that time, the board, I wasn't here at that point, decided not to allow bikes.
Yeah, I think that was 80% of the conversation. I remember the other piece of it, and it was probably the smaller piece, was the unique circumstances of these trails because they're not destination trails. They're not transit trails. We have a disproportionate demographic of either young parents with strollers or senior citizens, and the notion of racing bikes coming down at 40 miles an hour cause some people to have concerns.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've actually had experience with mountain bikers and other people that are on the trail illegally. And I guess, you're not anticipating them I think it's dangerous personally. They come flying. And behind my house, we have hills every bit as steep as the ones that are on the other side. So I find it an interesting argument that they don't want to open it up on the other side because of the hills. But if you walk the Miller Road ones, you've got equally steep hills.
There's gaps.
And you got a lot of blind turns and other stuff. So in other words, a bike, if somebody's really out mountain biking,
Right.
you can be surprised by a bike. So that was leading to my other question, which is it a requirement to have a bell or something? Because many trails require that. And say, because here's what you don't like is bikes coming up behind you. And people are out strolling with their family and a bike's coming up on the left and the dog runs off the leash and somebody gets run over, right? That's my biggest issue.
Well, the biggest problem is people have their earbuds in and they can't hear anything anyway.
Right.
So bells don't do any good.
Right.
I don't know of any requirement by Lake County requiring bells. I know it's proper etiquette, just like it is for a lot of things, like for people, walking not to take up the whole trail, for people to pick up after their dogs, the whole etiquette thing. So I know that gets lost sometimes. But I think to President Richardson's point, it isn't a long destination trail.
Right.
So most of the people that are using it are residents and neighbors using it.
Right.
It's not someplace I would drive out to take a bike ride. I would go to Millennium Trail or someplace where I could do 30, 40 miles.
Right, agreed.
It'd be interesting to watch it, because interestingly enough, LBS is considering banning bicycles from their path. Just because of the situation you're talking about, people racing up behind a lot of the walkers that walk it. And,
Yeah, you would have paved trails there.
then they're not as wide.
Right.
And,
And that's another distinction. The paved trails, you can take a road bike out on the thin tire
Right.
bicycle paths. It's harder to do that on the streets.
Yeah, you need a trail bike to do that.
But I've seen trail bikes going down our path pretty
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
telling you,
you
they're
go fast
not
on
lollygagging
bikes.
along.
Yeah.
They're out.
Right.
They're both pretty
When
good.
I'm out running, I see them and they're zooming by me.
So
But that was when Karen brought this up, Andy, the first time when she and I talked about it. The key issue for me was it was not an irreversible decision. If we
Right.
tried for 6 months and we had a bad experience, we can change our mind.
So the issue then is that we have the ability to approve it tonight, but in 6 months disapprove it.
Or anytime.
Right,
Or anytime.
anytime.
Or anytime.
Or anytime disapprove it.
Or the.
Well, that
or
would
the-
require another amendment, that
Another
would require another amendment, the Forest Preserve would have to agree to that.
I wasn't aware that.
Oh, I
we
thought-
could
They would
do
have
that.
to-
I wasn't aware that we could unilaterally do that.
No, that's not how it's, the documents, right?
Oh, really?
And I'm glad this came up.
Yeah. I thought we had the authority to say no because of, like, the other intergovernmental agreement said no bikes, but if we say we can have bikes, we can go back and say.
But the reverse isn't true. I mean, once you amend the agreement, it's amended. It would take both parties willingly to amend.
Then I got to tell you, I'm not prepared.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to support it tonight. Then.
We can't put a clause in here to say that if we have issues with this down the road.
I think that's really more of a question that we need to pose to Aunt May
Okay.
and see how they feel about that. If they would be willing to do that, then we should, perhaps what we should do is share with them the agreement, but indicate that we need the ability to pull it back if we're not happy with the result.
Chair would like a motion to table 14B pending trustee Dalton Lang's further discussion with the county forest.
So,
Second, okay. Clerk will call the roll on that one.
I'm sorry, the motion is.
Motion to table 14B. Moved by Schaller, seconded by Thompson, I believe.
yes.
Okay, trustee Burke,
Yes.
trustee Dalton Lane,
Yes.
trustee Mitchell,
No.
trustee Rigby,
Aye.
trustee Schaller.
Yes.
Trustee Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Yes, and Karen, please communicate our openness to trying this on an experimental basis. We just don't want to make a permanent commitment until we have experience that says the downsides that are possible aren't in fact occurring. This is not a vote against this on a permanent basis, it's just we need a little more security.
I see what you're
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 15A, consideration of a contract for catering services. Who's going to set this one up? Mr. Ball?
Yes, this is the renewal as the trustees report for catered productions for our food service for the and the accessory activities for the barn stomp on October 14th. The contract is in the amount of $9,713.60. We've been satisfied with this caterer and their production facilities and their support, and we recommend its passage.
Questions?
No bacon on the baked beans?
Or dill red skin potatoes.
I need something to eat it, because that's the only thing I need to eat is the big
Vegetarian friendly. Wow.
Jacksonville brats, that's good.
We may have to have our brats wrapped in bacon.
Yes.
There you go.
Put some cheese on top.
And fry the whole thing.
That's right. Deep brats. Yeah. The longer Lynn and I are married, the more she said you ought to deep fry it. Put some extra salt on there. Yeah. Okay, Chair would like a motion to authorize the village administrator to enter into a services agreement with Catered Productions for catering and other services related to the village's barn stomp event for the sum of $9,713.60. Madam.
So moved.
Trustee Scheller, second, please.
Second.
Yeah, I was close. Trustee Burke, I guess, gets this one. Clerk, will please call the roll. You guys are getting a few tonight. I'm trying to be a small D Democrat here.
Oh.
Small D.
Ouch.
Trustee Burke,
Yes.
trustee Delaplane,
Yes.
trustee Mitchell,
Yes.
trustee Burke,
Aye.
trustee Shell,
Yes.
trustee Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Someone who attended my birthday party that met a lot of you guys said, your village board meetings are like this. I said, you need to attend 2 or 3, you'll get over it. 15C, consideration of a partial elimination to employee withholding related to DAC card reimbursement changes in the employee health insurance program. Mrs. Baldwin. Oh,
Check
I checked it off, I didn't. Thank you. Okay, we're talking about water tower. Consideration of a contract for the exterior repainting of the village's water tower reservoir. Mr. Ball, you set this up, please.
Yes, this is such a good recommendation. It's hard to make it without being a little giddy, but we thought this painting would cost $175,000, and Fox River Grove, through their ingenious efforts, got both water towers painted for $47,220 each. So
Yes.
so we're saving well over $125,000 on this.
You guys got that in the financial statements.
The downside of doing that, a downside is that it probably, the work program will start to like the 4th quarter of this year. So we may have to, depending on the timing, we may have to move this into the following fiscal year, because the firm that's got it is oversubscribed, but they're excellent and their references play out, and we recommend its approval. It's a good program. The 2 towers are going to be phased because one tower will support the other when the others get rehabilitated. So there'll only be 1 tower in service for the 2 towns, and they'll probably start with Fox River Grove and then shift to us. So
For the newer trustees, we have a valve between the 2 water systems, and that gives us the ability to do exactly what Bill described.
Questions for the administrator or for council?
Turn that.
I guess why from economic development help we want to put Lake Barrington on the tower? The polling suggested that the original painting was no, we don't want it under any circumstance. But the question,
I think it was hell no.
Yeah.
That's what I heard when I proposed that.
So from economic development, why you wouldn't want to promote the village?
There was, one of our Ms. Schofield, Trustee Schofield, had mentioned that there was an agreement with the neighbors that there would never be any advertising or anything on the side, on the tower to make it more obvious.
And the same neighbors who are concerned about speaking.
So it draws attention, to your point. you want people to look at it, but in their mind, it draws more attention than you do.
Right. And so.
Plus, we don't want people to know what's on top. They can
So
say
it's
somebody else.
there then. By way of history, those neighbors actually did retain counsel, did file suit relative to the water tower before it was built. And it was just fortuitous that we had their attorney disqualified and from the case, and that allowed us to have it kind of was a cooling off period for them, and they decided they would not invest further funds in the case, but there was a discussion that I remember the county had at the time with them that said we would not, we'd let it blend better into the horizon.
In fact, that's why the color is what it is.
Yeah.
To blend into the sky. So I got the eagle eye when I talked about that.
Okay, Chair would like a motion to authorize the administrator to enter into a contract for the repainting of the water tower reservoir to Jetco Limited in an amount not to exceed $47,220. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Dalton Lang, may I please have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Rigby, thank you both. The clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Dalton Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell?
Yes.
Trustee Rigby?
Aye.
Trustee Shell?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Richardson?
Yes.
Not only did Fox River Grove put this out to bid, but they prepared the contracts. We got the opportunity to review them. We were fine with them. And so it's been a real, a savings all around.
I think we should invite the Barnes.
Yeah. That's a
They're
happy
great operating partners, so we've called in a variety of things.
That's a happy ending. Okay, I'm looking through my little packet here that Erica sent me. All right, 15C, consideration of a partial elimination to employee withholding related to DAC card reimbursement changes in the employee health insurance program. Mr. Ball, I think you're set.
Yes, as you know, earlier this year, the village terminated the employee potential for reimbursement of unused DAC card fees. They paid off for this year's program and going forward. That is not part of the plan. There was a withholding component, and then Peggy brought this to my attention, that we can eliminate from the employees withholding the paychecks. That'll actually increase their allowances slightly because it's no longer applicable. So we would recommend doing this. I would say it's more of a nominal adjustment, but it's important from a fairness standpoint that we do this as well. And we'd recommend implemented action. We didn't want to take any action on pay withholding without advising the board.
Questions? Then Chair would like a motion to authorize the interim administrator to terminate the DAC card withholding from employee paychecks. The employee withholding contribution for healthcare premiums will continue. May I have the motion, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Rigby, thank you. May I please, Trustee Thompson, thank you. Second. The clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Dalton Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell?
Yes.
Trustee Rigby?
Aye.
Trustee Shell?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Richardson?
Yes, thank you. This is the second opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the board. No one seeks recognition. We do need to have a quick closed session to finish the conversation from before. This does not relate to matters of personnel. So, Trustee Dalton, we'd like you to stay. Chair would like a motion to go into closed session, please.
It would be for the purposes of discussing litigation which is probable or imminent, and the sale or disposition of real estate.
Right. Thank you for the clarification. Chair asks for the motion as set forth by council. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Rigby, second. Please.
Second.
By Trustee Mitchell. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Dalton Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell?
Yes.
Trustee Rigby?
Aye.
Trustee Scheller?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Richardson?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I don't believe we have any business coming after this, right?
Or
You know, we might have a small, but no action, I think.
Okay.
No
Yeah,
action.
no action. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll take a very quick recess while the videographer excuses herself.